Hello Craig, how are you?
How you doing, Alex? I'm good, thanks. Welcome to my
Humble
home.
abode.
Yeah, how are you?
Nice. I'm good, yeah, not too bad. What have you been up to? What's been
It's
happening in
kind
life
of
for
this
Craig?
is like the first thing I've done since Christmas, New Year, so it's kind of getting back into work today, doing bits and pieces. I actually do another job outside music, so doing that today. Back into music stuff tomorrow.
Oh, that'd be good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I was trying to think before I came over when the last time I saw you was, and I think it was. I didn't actually see you at it, but it was the Koala show.
All right, Cola.
Koala. How do you pronounce it?
Cola.
Koala.
Yeah.
Koala show at Sneaky Pete's.
Sneaky
'Cause I didn't
Pete's.
actually know you were there when I was there at it, and it was only when I got home and saw on Instagram.
Yeah, she had like a catwalk stage, so I kind of like clambered over it to get to the side, and so didn't see many people.
Yeah.
Didn't see many people there. It was a good show.
It was
I think,
I like the fact that they did something quite different with it.
Yeah, I think Cola's like, I've known Rachel for a long time, and she's doing something that's really quite different. So,
Has she done like musical projects before?
yeah, she did
this one, yeah?
just under her own name, but this is completely different. And like the dance thing, I think it was good. I think she's good on her for trying new things.
Yeah, she's got a good voice as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
It was because you did an interview with her as well before.
Yeah, I did it just before the gig came out. So
Yeah.
she's had been track of the week and stuff before and that as well. So
Yeah,
yeah,
she's like 4 singles in now, is she?
yeah, as Cola. Yes, I couldn't believe that when I actually read that. It's a year since she released her first single to win the gig.
Is it
So
actually?
yes, it's a long time coming. So
Time flies.
yeah, but she's been working it hard, and it works. So looking forward to see what's next for her. I
Yeah.
think she's trying to do something similar in Glasgow.
What, another show in
Another
Glasgow?
show, yeah, similar sort of thing with the dance stage and stuff.
Must take so much prep
Yeah.
going into it. Like,
It's cool having
good,
because
but like,
my pals L-Space with the backing band as well, so it's nice to see them too.
oh,
So
yeah,
it's kind of good to catch up with everyone.
yeah. Be good to do supports and stuff as well, and kind of
Yeah,
get on that. But I think before that as well, I saw you at Jaws. You did the interview with them.
I did. Yeah, I just walked in as you were finishing the interview.
Yeah,
Blogging rivals then, man. Yeah, nice guys. It was actually
They're
really
very good
cool.
guys,
Really
yeah.
cool to chat. I don't know that much about Jaws. I've always listened to them kind of on and off, but then I got off the interview and I kind of fancied the gigs. Like, you know what? I'll do that. And then I put on their albums on Spotify, and the different styles of music that Jaws have, and not even across different albums, across
On
different,
each-
same
yeah.
album.
I mean, especially the last one. It's
Yeah,
so
the one
eclectic.
song's quite disco, and the next song's really rocky, right straight after it. So I thought it was really interesting. And the Z live show was really good as well, and the lights were amazing. Like,
So
it was
the big
just
thing they had on
the
behind
big
them as
Jaws
well.
sign behind the stage, but they also had like these little sort of things in front, which just like mirrors, and it looked like so cheap to do. It was so effective.
The whole show
If
was a
you
really
ever
good
look on
setup. Yeah,
Instagram. I've put a cool picture up of it, so check them out.
yeah, one of my favourites, I think. Would you have been down at that gig anyway had you not got the?
Oh no, honestly, probably not. Like, it's just one of these things. The PR company sent me. I did a preview of the single they brought out before the album came out. I know the PR company, so he sent us it, and it was the way one of these PR companies write really good press releases. So it's basically just copy and paste, put it, and you've got
Yeah.
content out for the blog. And then he just said, "Do you want to interview the guys?" I'm like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. And when I listened, I think had I listened to the albums before the week without knowing I was
would
interviewing,
have put
but I
in,
might have went
yeah.
down anyway to see them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Sonic PR or is it
I think it's Sonic to
Prescription.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Sonic,
or
yeah.
Prescription or one of them. Yeah.
one of them? Do you build up quite a lot of relationships over time?
Over the
with
years,
people like
you
that?
find, and it's what I quite like. Anyone who's looking to do PR, it's get your press releases right, because if Sonic send me one through, I know it's going to be good. I know I can use it. Whether
It's
I
well
know the
written,
band,
it's
or-
well
yeah,
presented.
yeah, you've
like,
got everything you need is in that one. My pet hate in music is when somebody sends you like one band sent me a message on Instagram a few weeks ago saying we've got a new single out. If you'd like to review it, let us know what you need. I'm like, well, I need the single.
you need the PR.
Yeah, I
as
need
well,
the single. I need the song. They didn't even send the song. Like, it's just like creates. People are busy, so I always say to people like off the record and thing like that.
You need to
it's
make
like,
it as easy as possible.
yeah, don't make me do more work than I need to. Like that, I don't want to sound arsey about that, but it don't. I've got other things to do, so I've got to reply to
Yeah.
you saying, "Yeah, go and send me the song," and then send me this. It takes. Whereas if somebody sends me everything in one hit, they have more chance of getting on the blog than you if you don't send anything.
Yeah, I always know as well. Like in the future, you know, I think it'd be quite interesting to work on a PR campaign for something,
Yeah.
do something like that. And I know that when I eventually do, hopefully at some point, looking at those like PR releases from Sonic PR is exactly what I'm going to do and go and check them out. And
Yeah, there's a guy
So
also
they
from
do.
Edinburgh who doesn't do it as much now. Matthew Young has a record label and a PA. He does everything basically. Called Song by Toad.
and it rings a bell,
His
yeah.
press releases were always great, and I remember getting one through about 4 or 5 years ago now. It was Ian from Broken Records released a debut side project solo thing called
Yeah.
Digital Analog, and because it was Matthew sent it, I'm going to list this anyway because I love Matthew's stuff, and this album just blew me away. It's one of my favourite albums ever, and it was just probably the only reason I gave it the first click was because it was through Matthew's cool press
Yeah.
releases.
That's the other thing I really enjoy about kind of, obviously we both do blogs.
Yeah,
The amount of music that I discover through it that I wouldn't have otherwise heard, and the amount of artists that you kind of come up on.
Yeah.
Same thing with what you're saying with Jaws, but you get all these PR releases in. There's so much good. It's frightening how much good stuff there is
Yeah.
out there that you.
How much time do you spend like Do you listen to everything?
That
We all say we listen to everything.
that comes through.
Yeah.
Do you mean from what bands
From
send
from
the
PR, like if PR agencies, do you listen to every email?
No, probably not every.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, it sounds really bad.
I've already started
but
reviewing you.
what sounds really bad is a band's name plays such a massive role.
Yeah.
Like, if a band's name sounds cool, it sounds interesting, I'll go and check out that band.
Yeah.
I do listen to everything if a band sends something in.
Right.
Like, also, like, not if they didn't send a link to the single, but if a band sends in a link to a single, I always listen to everything from that.
Right.
Even if I maybe don't reply to everything. I try and reply to everything.
I do try to listen to everything.
I always listen to everything that comes through.
There's so many things these days with...
You find out some really good... There was a Dundee band got in touch the other day. Name escapes me, but really good. Hadn't heard of them otherwise, and you just find out so much good
I think the problem now is there's too many ways to get in touch. Like email, there's Facebook Messenger, there's Instagram, there's Twitter. It's like, it should all be... Because you initially Facebook me about this podcast, and I completely forgot to reply.
Yeah,
so I think... just said, just email me, man.
No, I think email's normally the way to go.
Yeah, email's better. If any bands were like the best way to get in touch with me is email, definitely.
I'm quick at respond. Like what you said, the same with Facebook. I'm quick at respond to emails because if it's in an email, it feels more pressing. I think, and it feels like a job that needs done.
Yeah, because once you click close on that
on your Facebook
it's
tab
gone.
after you read it,
whereas if you go back in emails, it's still there.
Yeah,
it doesn't just go away.
It doesn't just
unless you delete it. If it's a really bad band, delete.
Yeah. So I thought we'd start off a little bit with Alive and Amplified.
Yeah,
because you started that back in 2004.
Oh, technically yes. Like it was a college project. We had to put on something or do something. So I put a night on back home. It was back home. There was never bands playing. Back home, Dunbar, by the way. I lived in grew up in Dunbar. There's never bands playing.
What's the music scene like in Dunbar?
It's not. Well, there was a couple of bands. Stagger Rats came from Dunbar. They did all right. And there's the... Oh man, totally. What's the band? That'll come to me in a minute. Guy with curly hair, sort of like they all wear suits. Ah, that's mental. What's the name?
Guy with the curly hair.
There's the band, like they all dress in suits, and the guy's got the lead singer's got curly hair. That's so bad. Anyway, I'll come back.
Scottish band.
Yeah, from Dunbar.
I've not
terrible with the Google on, but yeah. So like, there's not really many like gigs. There's no venues or anything like that. So it's like you get the odd guy playing covers in the pub. So I kind of like got some bands down and put in some DJs and had like a night with both things. And then so that was a college project. Kind of, I've put that 2004 because it's kind of started then. That was the first thing, but never really took off until about probably 2000 and in fact I went to Leaf FM in 2007. So that's when it kind of started doing more music stuff.
What was the blogging scene like back then? There wouldn't have been as many blogs about it.
There wasn't many at all.
Have you noticed quite a lot come and go?
Oh yeah, definitely. Loads, especially in Scotland. There's been loads of blogs coming and going. The Pop Cop was one of the best blogs, and it just vanished overnight.
Why? Do you know why it's?
Nah, I just think it became. Even I find sometimes it's like it's hard, a lot of work. Like people.
Oh yeah.
People like say to me when I'm out and about in the pub or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, your job's amazing. You just write and you go to gigs." Like, yeah, we don't see all the bits behind the scenes that I've got to do. Like you just the Instagram. That's what you think my life is. It's
same with everything, I guess now. But like. This morning, even most of the day, to be honest, I just sat and did emails, like sorting through and catching up, and it's a lot of admin and other things. I guess it's similar to being in a band.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So so 2007, I finished studying, and I think Leaf FM was starting, so they were looking for people to get involved, and I never wanted to present. I never wanted to be. I didn't have the confidence back then to like think I could speak on radio. So I just went in and I said, look, I like new music, I like work with bands, so. What I'd like to do is get all the demos, get the CDs and stuff in from the bands, and then say like this suits his show, this suits his show. And then a guy called Ian Schofield, who's become one of my best pals, said to me, why don't you come in and do a 20-minute gig guide of what's happening in Edinburgh this weekend? I said, cool, let's do that. And I was on stage on the mic. I'm so nervous. I've got that first recording somewhere. It's just like I sound like and remember the first song I played was a band called Delta Mainline from Edinburgh. Great guys, they remain friends. And then Ian and I just got on really well on radio, and all of a sudden we were co-hosting the show. We did 2.5 hours on a Friday. Then we moved to Sundays, which was good fun for a while. But as you can imagine, present the radio show on Sunday.
What time?
We were on it
Sunday?
2 till 4.
That's still quite early.
It was quite early for a Sunday. And we went. I mean, that was like 8 years ago, so we were quite more. Ian's not in the party now. He's got 2 kids and he's settled down. But we were like out every night, every Saturday night and stuff, and. Every Sunday I was like, why are we doing this to ourselves? Not so much the radio, we loved the radio, but why don't we just stay in on Saturday night? But
yeah.
So I thought Leaf FM like died through reasons I won't go into. One day they'll come out in the book. And then from that, like, so obviously no, like, we complained about something, so about 30% got sacked because we spoke out about something that wasn't right at Leith FM, which was then Castle FM. So we got sacked. So I had all this music and nothing to do with it. So I took the time then to set up the blog, Live Amplified, properly.
Was this in 2007 when that all
finished? That would have been like 2012. The blog probably started, I think.
That was when it kind of proper started.
Yeah, it probably started as a written blog, and then from that, Shore Radio started, which was like from the ashes of Leith FM. Was there for a bit, and then Summer Hall came along, and that was more like a podcasting unit rather than live radio. So,
is that the one down at the venue? Is that where the studio is, Summer Hall?
Summer Hall, yeah, it's just upstairs, and like there's so many little rooms in Summer Hall. First day I went, I got lost.
Fascinating building,
crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it up there. But yeah, so that was more a podcast hub. So Ian and I went up there and sort of did non-live for an hour, and it was quite nice just having the hour. And then I just kind of started doing the podcast. I've got a little homemade setup, nothing like your setup, by the way. Alex, it's incredible, the setup you've got.
I like it. It's a
cool.
Nice way.
And then so that's a Live and Amplified podcast. I've kind of went through. I've now got one called, I call it The Music Now. I think the pressure of doing it every week was kind of getting like, this is getting a bit tedious now. It's like something I had to do rather than.
You've got to be careful as well, because you can force things upon yourself without realising it. And suddenly you're tied into something, and you realise, why am I doing this? I've set this up for myself.
Yeah, that same thing where I was saying that people think, oh, it's only an hour, but the work behind that hour,
a lot of editing,
is like, it's not even the end, it's the pre-stuff, because we did that, even though it was podcast, we didn't really edit it much, we just pressed record and went for it, because it was just two pals chatting about music, really, that's what it was. But then the research into the bands, why we played, we never played a song that wasn't relevant, so we played something by like the Van Tees. It was because the Van Tees either had a single out, an album out, or they were playing a gig in the next.
So you had to go and hunt for that music
to make sure that every song was relevant. So it became a lot of work. So that's why I kind of stopped that, and I started The Music Now, which is kind of going to be. I kind of did a Transmit special. I did a 10-minute trail special. So it's kind of.
Did you go down to the Great Escape and do one of them as well?
I did. Yeah, I did the best of Scottish people down there. Like best of, but people I spoke to.
Who were you started speaking to?
I spoke to Ninth Wave, Lucia, Tamzine. I spoke to Jamie Houston from Creative Scotland, because they do a lot of work with the Great Escape for the Scottish bands down there. They basically.
Is that Jamie who does Tenement?
No, Jamie Houston works for Creative Scotland.
All right.
He's like the head of music there. So Creative Scotland fund a lot of bands to go down to Brighton to do the showcases. So there was that. There was
a cracking lineup for that this year.
It was, yeah, absolutely. It's a great festival. If you've not been, get yourself down.
Is it? Is it like multi venues?
Yeah, it's just basically it's like, imagine the festival in Edinburgh. It's like that, but for music. So every corner you turn is like somebody's set up a music venue and somebody's like front room and stuff. It's really cool.
I remember reading, it might have been NME or someone. It was someone had written it was like a music kind of blog thing, and they tried to basically go the whole day without not stopping seeing bands. It was something like 20 bands in a day.
Right.
It was just mental, basically running 2 minutes. Suddenly you're at another venue and another amazing band's playing.
Yeah.
Like going from saying the Marzicans played this year.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, so I saw them. They played it.
They're really good.
See, that's the thing. The Great Escape is like, they've got the main Great Escape, and then you've got the alternative escape, and I think it was, I can't remember, it might be Scuff of the Neck who did the Marsman stuff, but they had like a shop, a vintage clothes shop, and there was like a set of stairs, and up there was like lights and stuff, and the band split up the stairs. It was really cool. And it was a little clothes shop. It was actually on the street I was staying in.
What, the venue was at the clothes shop?
Yeah, it was like a little. Well, not it was a massive clothes shop.
I love venues like that. You know, like
that's what I mean. That's what the Great Escape is like. There's so many little places that you turn into like music venues.
It's a shame about Picture House in Edinburgh. That was quite a cool one.
Oh yeah, I loved it in there, man.
How long was that a venue for?
Oh man, when I was a student, it was revolution. It was the worst. It wasn't the worst nightclub in Edinburgh because I went every week, but it closed, turned into Gig, which was supposed to be a music venue / club, and it was horrific. And then the Pitch House must have been 4 or 5 years anyway, and it was great. We got some good bands. It was finally, we thought, this is it. This is the venue, and it's been needed for a while. And then obviously, it closed down. Now it's
just a 5 years. It was about
Weatherspoons.
I mean, you did editors. We were speaking about that earlier. That's cool.
Yeah, editors there. Travis there, Cribs, loads of bands there. It's good. What I do like about that is the Weatherspoons. The bar is just in front of the stage. The stage is still there. So I'm thinking,
it's a shame that it's no longer a music venue, but it's a cracking Weatherspoons.
Yeah, but my point is, I think if somebody did come in and buy that and want to turn it into a music venue, I think Weatherspoons have been told you can't destroy it. So it's literally Weatherspoons will be picked up and taken out, and the stage and everything's still there. If you look
the stage is still behind
you look down the bar, the stage
there's like a big cover, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's been set up in that way that if anybody did want to turn it into a venue, so there's hope yet.
Edinburgh's good for protecting stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same. What's going on with the ABC in Glasgow? Is it definitely?
I don't know what's happened with that. I mean, such a shame what happened there. Another great venue.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Glasgow's not the same as Edinburgh. Glasgow's kind of got more venues kicking about.
Loads. Well, same thing happened here at La Belle and Gel when I was a student. It burnt down.
Fire, yeah.
Yeah, but the whole thing burnt down. Like, it was gone.
But what they completely rebuilt.
Yeah, what they've rebuilt now is exactly how it looked. Well, not exactly, but pretty much 90% how it was
bang on,
back in the day. So
that's a good venue as well. So the Blind is there, and Widedays was obviously there this year as well.
Yeah, Widedays was great fun there this year.
What? So are you artist liaison?
Artist liaison manager at Widedays, yeah.
So what exactly is artist liaison? People that don't.
So I don't know if they don't know what Widedays is. We
I suppose
it's a music conference in Edinburgh. It takes place every April, so it's over 3 days. The first day last year was taken over by a booking agent. They put on some bands, and then the Friday's a whole day of conference. So you've got panels from like publishing to MCPS to PRS, loads of different things. A&R, You're Brave Enough, where bands can put in their demos and like 4 people from music and they just listen to them, give criticism, good feedback.
Phil Taggart was there this year doing
Phil
that.
Phil Taggart was there. It was good to speak to Phil. He's a good guy. And then at night we put on 7 bands. It was last year, and 6 this year, showcasing the best, what we think's the best Scottish bands and the ones that are up and coming. No, it's not the best Scottish bands. It's the bands who are next. We think are going to be the next big thing.
Who were the 6?
This year we had Megan Airlie, Shears, Van Ives played Teviot, and then we had Shushote, Paliamo, Frankie's Evil Party, and Eyes of Others at La Belle and Gel.
That's a cracking lineup.
It was a good day, and it's hard work. I mean, so artist liaison, you asked that, is I basically, as soon as we book, well, the process of selection bands is me, myself, Michael, there's an extended team, and then there's a load of people outside in the Scottish music industry help us select why they. It's not just a case of we think, oh, we like them, they're good. It's like everybody was an input.
You have to submit to.
Yeah, you have to submit. You have to answer some really like questions. What your plans are for the next year, and then we go pick the 7 bands, and then basically it's my job to like book briefing days. We get photographs done with them, do videos, make sure they're happy. We ask them all to register 100 people to come to the gig.
I was actually watching the Paliamo video today by complete coincidence.
Yeah.
That.
Good band, Paliamo. If you don't know Paliamo, go and check them out.
Live as well.
Yeah, mental. I didn't know much about them. We booked them for Off the Record, which is basically a Widedays event for 14 to 25-year-olds. So we booked them for that, and as soon as we did that, I thought these guys have got to be a chance for Widedays because they were that good.
They're quite a young band as well.
Yeah,
they're about 18, 19.
They've just turned like 18, 19. They're doing South by Southwest this year, which is like, well done, lads. Fair play.
Be good.
Yeah.
But his stage presence.
Yeah.
Just
run.
trying to think who he reminds me of. It's almost a bit Ian Curtis.
Yeah, I was going to say, it does remind me a bit. He's a bit more lively than Ian Curtis, but he's got the same sort of. He looks and he starts out running on stage. Somebody said that to me. He just runs on stage. What do you mean he runs on stage? It was Michael who I worked with, and he was like, and he started playing it off the record. I'm like, yeah, he just runs on stage. You've summed that up perfectly. If you're listening, don't think anything of it. He just runs on stage.
Just imagine someone running on the spot on stage.
But yeah, good and great fan base, because I'll admit, off the record, as it says, for 14, 25-year-olds. So there was a lot of young kids came to Paliamo, and I obviously artist liaison, so I'm running the gigs with the door staff and stuff. It's like, this is going to be a nightmare. They're going to be on the stage. There's going to be stage invasions. They were absolutely amazing. A couple of times bounced and say, guys, step back a bit. No, yeah, no worries, man. And they were so nice and so polite and stuff. So
was that La Belle?
That was in Dundee. That was at the Caird Hall in Dundee.
Nice.
That Off the Record, and then they played. La Belle was fine because it was an older audience and with proper like
still about jumping
crash
about
barriers. Oh yeah, it was mental jumping about, but with like proper crash barriers and that in there, so it wasn't as stressed.
Yeah.
And after Off the Record, I was like, the boys are fine. They're not going to cause any violence.
Yeah,
I've done really well. I think one of the highlights of last year's Widedays is what they've went on to do. So
were those bands performing on the Friday?
The Friday,
right?
yeah.
And then on the Saturday you have the
Saturday. But this last year was the first year we did a festival takeover, which we asked 3 festivals. So it was Tenement Trail, Kelburn and Electric Fields to pick 4 bands, and we played them over the 2 venues of the Mash House and La Belle, and it was a sense that you could go from, you didn't miss anything. So one band finished, 5 minutes later another band started in La Belle, and then you went back to Mash House, then back to La Belle.
That's what I liked about it.
Yeah.
Just compared to something like, I love Tenement Trail, that was such a good festival this year, but you miss bits of bands.
Yeah.
You know? But there's also something nice about that, just going straight from band to band.
Yeah.
It is nice seeing full sets, because you can go from St Martin's to then Rascal into... Who else was playing last year?
Cava Louise, Row. I'm going for non-Scottish ones. Avalanche Party were great.
The guy, I don't know, they're not a band anymore, but they used to be really good. Alligator.
Yeah, they're now Vloer.
Yeah, they've kind of...
they're not now Vloer, but
some of the members
of Alligator are now.
It's kind of like a Joy Division Yorda thing.
It's quite different, Vloer, to what Alligator are. I know they're not all the same.
You can kind of see some of the elements carrying over.
Yeah, definitely. But I like them.
That video for Desire.
Yeah.
Just so well done. They're a band that... I hate to say it, but like marketing wise, even just
they're quite intense. Like
yeah,
they scare me a bit. Like they played the Great Escape, and where the showcases are in the Great Escape, it's like a big church, so it's quite light and it's quite bright. And the showcase started like at 1:00 in the afternoon, so it's bright and everybody's like just getting in from the Friday night to go, and it's kind of a bit lethargic. And the guy just came out and went to somebody's face, and he was right in somebody's face, just screaming the lyrics. And the boy was like, "What have I done to do this on a Saturday morning?" But it worked really well. They done really well.
That was on a Sun Ninth Wave at Lemon Tree in Aberdeen.
Right.
She was kind of getting up in amongst the crowd.
Yeah.
Some poor boy in the front row with glasses that just looked so innocent and just right up at him and just staring him down and just singing right in his face.
Well, same thing happened with another band. Oh, I forgot the name of it. Lovesick. They changed their name, but they the girl from Lovesick basically came into the crowd and did a lap dance for one of the guys in the crowd. Like, we were sitting there with his beers, like, what is this? It was a good show. Still trying to remember the name of that band. It's annoying me. The one for the
the one from the curly hair with the suits.
Yeah, the one from the bar.
I can't think.
It will come to me.
We got off topic. I was going to ask about. Did I ask about? No, we did ask about artist liaison a bit. But what exactly is that?
Well, it's the process from taking the submissions. When it's really coming into effect once we've booked the bands, it's then making sure they're happy, how we can help them do marketing, what we can do for them. And it's what I like about Widedays as well. It's not like, that's you done your set, thanks, bye. We work with the bands, we still work with the Ninth Wave, we still work with the Van Tees, we still work with Parliamo. So if they've got things like funding applications what hand with, they give me a shout and we arrange. And if we want to meet somebody,
them going over to America, that was stuff that they'll need to.
So if like a band think we need an agent, then Olaf and Michael and myself, we know people who might. I mean, you're only two people away. It's like you don't know one, we'll know somebody that does know one. So that's that cool thing where we don't just, the bands aren't done with us when they finish. I've made some like really good friends through Widedays, through bands like the Van Tees I mentioned.
Seems like quite a nice kind of community.
Yeah, it is, and it's nice to keep in touch. And I'd regularly email them. It's part of my job as well, just keep in touch, because I don't know if you saw the Widedays Instagram today, but the King Tut's New Year's Revolution, the Shears, Crystal, and the Van Tees are all playing that. So I've done a wee share for that because it's like they're like our sort of guys, our pals. So we like to push their gigs.
Did Crystal do Widedays?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, not last year.
Was that a couple? How many years ago did you get involved with it?
I started at the very beginning. I went to a night. It was when I was at college. My lecturer told me there's a night starting called Born to Be Wide. A guy called Olaf. You should go along and check it out. So I went in and I says, "How will I know Olaf?" It was like, "You'll know Olaf." And you walk in, this guy with big, massive, it was even bigger curly hair back then.
He looks like an Olaf.
I was like, yeah, that's definitely Olaf. So I went and spoke to Olaf, and then went to a few more events. I moved down south for a bit, but then when I came back, Olaf actually got my work experience at the venue, which is no longer here, and a place called Nemes, which is no longer here. I don't know if it's a coincidence that I was there. They're both no longer here, but yeah, Olaf got me the work experience, and then he spoke to me about doing a day event called Widedays. That was, what was the 10th Widedays this year, so 10 years ago.
That was the 10th one this year?
Yeah, so I started, I wasn't artist liaison manager back then, but I helped rep gigs, and just basically the first Widedays was just all hands on decks. It was like we were organising catering, everybody was just doing everything to get it went. It's worked really well every single year. We actually had to move venue the week before Widedays the first year because the Voodoo Room's double booked, so we had to move it to Shanghai. And it's the thought
Shanghai still a venue?
Yeah, it was. Well, I think the thought of doing something in Shanghai now, it's like, wow. But it's worked really well. We've moved from TV8 to Pleasance back to TV8. I think TV8's a wonderful venue for it. The admit that I do, like, I used to love Electric Circus for Widedays because we always ended there. Unfortunately, that's no longer there. But
when did Electric Circus stop being?
Must be 3 years ago now. I think it shut.
Because Indigo played the last show there.
They did, yeah. Played the last night, yeah.
When did you start getting involved with them? And
I've been pals with them for years and years. Like, it's weird because I didn't not like them. I love this. They'll be loving this. I booked them for a gig at Sneaky Pete's like about 7 years ago, and they cancelled on me like the night before, and I was like, I don't know if I can swear on this. I was like, little arseholes. Like, I'm not, like, I don't like them, and I've never really. From there, I didn't really play them much on radio. I was like, nah, they just let me down. I don't know what happened. I think I bumped into Billy at Electric Fields actually, and we kind of chat and stuff, and kind of like, he's all right. And then I saw them supporting La Fontaine's at the Liquid Rooms, and I enjoyed the gig, speaking to them. And then we just, for some reason, we just became pals again and started speaking. And I've been to gigs with them, been down south with them and stuff. As a non-manager, just going down helping them out, like with a bit tour managing and stuff. And then about April time this year, they were looking for a manager, and I was like, no way.
Did they have someone doing it before?
There's someone before, but it just mutual thing. It just didn't. It just came an end. There was no reason for it. So they just said to me, "Do you want to manage us?" I was like, lads, I'm maybe too friendly with you for this. It's not.
That's the thing that you have to be careful with, like being too friendly with folk and.
But then they said
they
that a new single coming out in June. Can you help us with that? Do you know what? I'll do it 6 months. And I got into it about 3 months in. I was like, I actually love this, and they're actually really nice guys to work with. Like they're better to work with than our pals. That way, they're hard workers pals. But when you need to do stuff, they do stuff, and it's like I think this year's been really good for them.
Capaldi.
I was going to say to work with a band who is, probably the biggest artist in the world right now. He's number one on album in America. So to work with a band who are supporting Lewis Capaldi is pretty cool. Because Lewis Capaldi supported Indigo Velvet 5 years ago.
Still, it's crazy to think. I was seeing a photo on Facebook not too long ago. I think it was even soon. I think it was 4 years ago. It was Lewis Capaldi third on the bill at a Touch show. Yeah, someone standing next to the sign. But
he's done so well. He gets a lot of heat, and I think it is because he's just done so well. But good on him.
You're always going to get heat.
Yeah, good on him. It's
it's good to see someone doing that for Scotland and hopefully maybe drawing a bit more attention to some artists like Indigo Velvet. Were they your first time managing a band, or had you?
I've kind of dipped in years ago. There was an artist called Carrie Mack. It's not really, it wasn't a manager. It was just helping her out. And then there's a band called the Gold Lions who I kind of just helped get gigs and done bits and pieces for them. But this is the first time I've kind of taken
properly
it all on and done it, putting stuff on Spotify. This is the first time I've really released singles with a band. Yeah, which I really enjoy. That's my favourite part of it. Is that Friday at midnight when the tune comes out. Yes, it's on, and that relief of yes, it actually is on. I've not pressed the wrong button. It did go on Spotify, and then sitting for days watching the Spotify for artists, seeing how the stats never going. I love all that stuff.
Up,
yeah, it's good. It's good.
What sort of stuff did you learn from? Well, what did you do? Because the Gold Lions, what were you kind of doing there?
That was kind of they played a gig, a band. I used to put on nights at with Three Sisters and Maggie's Chamber upstairs. It used to be a really cool music venue. I used to put nights in there, and a band pulled out, and my mate Rich Paxton actually said, there's a band called Gold Lions, they'll jump in if you want to do it, and he says, by the way, you should speak to them at managing them, they're great. I was like, I'm not a manager, Rich, I don't really know what I'm doing. This band came on stage, a two-piece, because I'm quite into Black Keys and White Stripes, things like that, so a two-piece guitar and drums, and it just came on, and I was like, yeah, let's get involved with these guys. Straight away I was like, these guys are so good. Owen, the singer, he just had something about him that was he's gonna he could
kind of charisma.
Yeah. Charisma was a good looking guy. He had the way he could play the guitar, the noise. I'll dig some out and I'll send you. The way he played the guitar was just great. And then again, I didn't know what I was doing management back then. I didn't know the contacts I know now, so it was kind of difficult. And then it was before Spotify and stuff as well, so it was kind of just getting them gigs, trying to get them a bit more exposure to see what the next step could be. I mean, they played. Well, the cool thing, they played a thing called Haddlefest, and they were on after Catfish and the Bottom. Catfish were on third on, right way down the billet.
What about was that? Was that in Edinburgh?
I think it was. Well, it's Mash House. I think it was GRV. It was called back then. But Catfish were third on, and the Gold Lions were fifth on.
What year was? How long ago was this?
It must have been 2010, 11.
Were Catfish on the go all the way back then?
Yeah, it must have been just. It was really probably just starting.
Yeah, but obviously making enough of a noise that.
Yeah, it was a guy called Hamish who ran Haddlefest. I met him through Stagger Rats, and he was putting music festivals. You want to get involved, help him out, booking some bands, and maybe doing some stage management. I was like, yeah, and then okay, from that, he's worked some great bands. I interviewed Razorlight. Well, I didn't interview Razorlight. There's an interview with Razorlight, but it's basically Razorlight after everybody left, apart from Johnny Burrell, and Johnny Burrell wasn't there. So I interviewed Razorlight session musicians, really. But it was a good interview. It was good fun. Yeah.
They're an interesting band as well. Don't know. They're back again though. This point in Kaiser Chiefs at Usher Hall.
Yeah, nah.
Nah.
I used to love that first album was great. That period of time, 2004, Libertines.
What's the first Razorlight album again? Is it the one with
Up
American stuff on it? Yeah.
No, that's the second one. Up All Night's got Golden Touch.
Yeah, it's a good songwriter, to be fair.
I like the first album; it's great. And then even the second album was alright. America, it's been played to death now, but I quite like it. I like the album. I've seen them live loads. Seen Alexander Palace and
nice guitar band.
Yeah, but then it just went really bad, and then Johnny went solo, and it's just nah. I don't think I'd enjoy it now.
What's that quote from him as well about being? I can't remember. He had a quote in an interview slagging off the Libertines and saying he was going to be the songwriter that was going to be remembered.
Well, he was in the Libertines to start. He was the bassist in the Libertines.
Was he?
Yeah, he got kicked out because he was an arse, basically. Yeah.
Imagine getting kicked out of the Libertines.
I know. Imagine being that dysfunctional. You Pete Dockett thinks you're an arse. Yeah, but I mean, that time, 2004 stuff, the music scene was just. I was living in London. The music scene was just amazing. Libertines were out, and then there was this whole sort of punk scene, like the Paddingtons, the Strokes were kicking about. the Arctic Monkeys then came on the back of that, and it was just like, this is amazing. And then obviously like MySpace and stuff was kicking off. I know you're just young, you're like, what's that? But I mean, that's when it really became music. It was so accessible, because before you could buy like, I remember going to the shop and having like enough money to buy maybe 1 or 2 CDs a week. So you're like, right, I'm going to buy them too. And that's all you had. That's all you could listen to.
Yeah.
But now you can listen to anything. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, because I always use this example. My favourite album 2 years ago was by a girl called Fen Lily. Album of the year, but I probably listened to the album about 6 times, because there's so much music that I need like listen to new stuff. Yeah. Recycle. You don't listen to music that you used to.
I don't know. I think I listened to. I think the album I listened to the most this year was Fontaine's DC album.
Right, it's a good album. That is probably my.
I listened to it 60 hours. I don't know what that is. Like how many times?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of time.
But then I've also got it on vinyl, which doesn't count with Spotify.
Yeah.
On that, but
that's I don't have. I don't like.
Do you do vinyl at all?
I've got vinyl, but it's just like basic bands who give me some stuff.
You've got is that Coldplay one's framed on the wall?
That's not vinyl. That was from a program.
It
was like a gig program. Booklet. Yeah. So I just cut them out and don't tell people I've got Coldplay things in my house, man. I've got this cool. And I love Coldplay.
Yeah,
they're great.
You've got Bowie up on the wall as well.
Loads of Bowie.
They're behind as well.
Bowie. Frightened Rabbit. No, I don't think Bowie's there. There's
no, he's behind. Yeah,
there's someone else though. Yeah. Oh, that's David Bowie. Have you seen The Labyrinth?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like
where he plays the bad guy. Yeah.
Somebody drew me that like as a sort of thank you for playing music. It's like a cartoon strip of The Labyrinth. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's not a good podcast with pointing things out that nobody can see, but
I think every podcast I've done, we've had a bit where we've looked at the walls. Yeah, because I did one with. Did you listen to Little Kicks?
Yeah.
Yeah, really good band actually.
With Stephen.
Yeah.
Stephen is the nicest guy in Scottish music. I absolutely love
I think
Stephen.
I'd agree with that.
He's so cool. Lovely man.
Stephen Milne, then Rory Barnes, and then
I've not even got mentioned. Shocking.
You're down at number
9 or 10. That's fine.
Number 9. No, but I remember we went into like he had like a little music cabin, like in his back garden, and he makes his stuff, and it's just the coolest room with like these vintage organs and everything. And
yeah, I can imagine he's got all that. I like Steve. He's good. Again, something I met through Widedays. He used to come down. He still comes down every year, and it's good to catch up and stuff. And I really like his band. The album they brought out the last album was just great. There's a song on it, "Goodbye Enemies, Hello Friends," which I just thought was one of the best songs of the year.
What's the other one on it as well? Don't Get Mad, Get Even. I think that was the album before it.
Yeah, no, that album's absolutely brilliant. I think it's their strongest work, and I don't know what the plans. They've all got babies now. I think all of them have got kids.
Wow.
A lot of kids. So.
I can reveal some stuff to you after the.
Okay. Oh, have you got some inside info from the podcast?
Plenty of info.
Excellent. I'll tweet it when it tells me.
Expose it. So did you go up to Belladrum with Indigo this year?
I didn't. I went up 2 years ago. Just to do a bit too much. Was that
the year that they did like the 22 festivals or whatever?
Yeah, they did. They did Belladrum. They did
Tea in the Park. Maybe would have been that year, was it? Or was that the year after Tea in the Park was done? Yeah.
I just mean the gigs I was working with them. I did Belladrum. There was one on Humber side like the day later, and then one in Liverpool. Remember that one in Liverpool got cancelled like the last minute.
What festival was that?
I can't remember what it's called. It was a total shambles. Basically, we went to Liverpool, stayed the night, got ready to go to the gig. I got a phone call saying, "Why were the gigs cancelled?" I'm like, what? So we just spent the day in Liverpool. Actually, a nice day out, but the boys lost some money because of the booked hotels
it was the same
and
as
stuff.
that. Did you see the festival this year? Was it down like in the Cornwall? Got cancelled like the night before. Everyone was like there in the hotels, like camping. Suddenly has nowhere to stay for 3 days with. Train tickets not booked for like a few days' time. Just
it's not. I understand. Like it's not easy putting a festival on, but I think if you know
that was a
unless
weather
it's
one,
like
actually.
Total like freak like weather or something like that, your festival's not doing well. You pull it before people make arrangements. I think Logan's Close is the name of the band from Dunbar. I knew I was getting there in the end. Yeah,
it's come to. But this is something actually I wanted to ask about in regard to Indigo Velvet. I wasn't sure, so if we don't want to answer it, we can move past it because it's. Obviously, not managing a band is always, sunshine and happy times. Because EH6 this year, how do you handle something like that? There's a situation like that.
I'll happily answer that. I mean, as I say, these things happen. But I think because the way you deal with people. It's annoying because we Indigo Velvet don't make loads of money, but do quite well out of gig fees and stuff, but all that money goes back into the band. So that money, we thought we got the fee for that, so it's like, right, this is going to be that and that.
You can pay
for
like,
when that got like
stuff,
pulled, it's like, right, we need to plan everything else around that, so it kind of creates an effect for the band. I understand why it was pulled, because I mean it wasn't selling tickets, but again, there's just ways to do it. I mean, there's no hard feelings. I speak to Mikey T, the guy who I was dealing with at E86, was very apologetic, and I've said, if I get the chance to tell anyone, so this is a perfect opportunity, that I have no issues with Mikey T at all. I'd work with him again. We are working with him again because he's a good guy and he was very transparent with everyone, and these things do happen. But
it was just unfortunate the manner in which they kind of unfolded. And
yeah, it was kind of weird that it was cancelled and then all of a sudden it was re-on, but not with Honeyblood, Be Charlotte or Indigo Velvet on the bill. It was like, all right. And that was, I mean, again, if that had just been said, then you know what, this is why we're doing this and that's why we need to do this. But yeah, cool. I totally understand. I'm not just going to clap. There's no point in me shouting and screaming because that gets back to other people. Then it makes me look an idiot. So it's like, right, I understand, fine, but it's just kind of the way it was done. So, but again, no hard feelings. I mean, it seemed to go all right. So
yeah, it looked like a good festival from looking from the outside. Is that quite a rare occurrence? Something like that happening, just in general?
It's not like I've not seen that happen much. Again, that one Liverpool was just it was through safety. It ran the night before, and apparently it was in Liverpool's to city centre, so loads of people got in for free. It shouldn't have got in, so it was more safety than anything else. Which, do you know what?
Safety.
It does. First, I mean, the last thing you want is your band playing at a festival. Somebody people get crushed to death, and that's not. You don't want that at all. So yeah, safety does come first, but the safety plan should have been in place way before the first night of the festival. So I don't really. I can't really think top of my head. There's been many gigs that I know have been cancelled, or especially Indigo. I've only worked Indigo for 8 months or so, so it's all been quite plain sailing. I think you put the promoters we've worked with DF for the Mash House, which was an amazing night. But the guys we've worked with in Inverness, Aberdeen, Dundee were all quite. It was good back and forth. So
you do AGP up in?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Ross. So yeah, it was a good night. With actually a good story with a power cut, like the night of the gig. So it was
in Aberdeen.
Yeah, basically turned up. Ross was like, "But there's no power." I'm like, well, I panicked quite a bit. I'm like, "What do you mean there's no power?" I'll be fine. I'm like, "Well, tell me it'll be fine. Like, let's get it." And he's like, "Well, the whole place is out. Like, the whole Aberdeen was out." So it was like we're sitting like, "What are we gonna do?" But
was that not the night that like it's like a power cut in the entire country? And there was like
I don't know, maybe
going off like in traffic lights and stuff going off, causing chaos.
Potentially, but like we got like it came back on and we managed to get sound check and stuff. And the good thing about again that venue, Drummond's, was it Drummond's? Yeah, Drummond's in Aberdeen. It's quite cool because it's not like Edinburgh. We've got to be about 10 o'clock. So Ross is like runs over like to 10:30. It doesn't matter. Like the club will start when the club starts. It's not like so. It's quite cool. So
that's the one thing I don't like about the venues in Edinburgh. Like. As soon as it's 10 you're kicked out.
I agree, but I understand why, because they make their money from like Sneaky Pete's probably makes more money from the club nights it does gigs. So
it's good that they even bother to put on the gig nights, you know.
I mean, Sneaky Pete's a gig venue, and it's one of the best live music venue.
Quite a few years in a row.
Yeah, at the AIM Awards this year. So I think Sneaky Pete's is an amazing venue. I love the place. I love the people that work there so much.
The atmosphere about it.
Yeah. So I mean, it's putting gigs on till 10 o'clock. And then putting the club nights keeps that place open. Then I'm all for it. I'll get out by 10. It's fine.
Yeah. Was that something that you used to put? Did you used to put like gigs through 11 Amplified?
Yeah, I did. I put a few on. I put them at Sneaky's, Maggie's Chamber. I did some showcase. I called them showcases because it was really small at Leaf Depot.
Yeah. At least it's been saved. That was another.
For now, yeah, definitely. So looking like it's going to stay for a while, which is good. Yeah, I used to enjoy. It's actually the idea of putting gigs on I really like, but it is the least enjoyable thing I do for music.
Stress and
it is, and it's like when you see tickets, then you can see tickets. Like, oh, I need to get how many tickets they sell. I put a band like the worst thing I ever worked on. A band from Liverpool who a great pal. They were a band called the Steeples when I did Leaf FM. They became two of them joined a band called Kids on Bridges, and like, do you want to come up? Do you want to we'll do a gig in Edinburgh? Do you want to put it on? I'm like, yeah. So we tried to do Saturday, but something happened that they couldn't do Saturday. So I booked the Sunday. Stupidly, quite naive of me. So I booked Sunday. It'd be fine. Because they're getting good radio play and stuff down the country, and then I booked it like 3 months, and then 2 months the ticket sales were like dire. I'm like, oh no! And of course I have money in this, so I've got the band to come with Liverpool, so I'm not going to make sure they don't lose money. It's like, what is going to happen? And I can't just afford to throw away like 200 quid that I can't afford. So it was brutal. It was like in Mash House, and it was like maybe 15 people turned up, and it's like, oh man, and it was grim. But you learn from these things. It's like, right, I wouldn't do a Sunday again. I was saying that I did a band called Airloo from Nottingham, who are good pals. They did Sunday recently, and that worked quite well. So
I think as long as you learn from it and you look at the mistakes,
It's easier now as well to sell tickets. You've got things like Eventbrite and all that. It's just to go online.
It's easier to promote as well, doing it through Facebook.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's like the biggest thing that's changed since I've been doing music is Facebook. I mean, it's got its flaws. It was well documented in the press and stuff, but it's I love it. I love social media. Like,
it's such a platform.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably the longest away of my phone this year. Like, to speak to you because my phone's there. I'm not really being on it, so my phone's always in my hand. It's what I'm addicted to it. I admit that, and I shouldn't be. I need to put it away sometimes and chill out. But
I mean, it's tough when you look at all the. I remember watching documentaries on it and stuff. The way they almost use like casino techniques to keep you on social media and keep you like, didn't it? It's almost. I almost think it should be taxed. You know, like smoking, like.
More taxes in, man. Spot the student, doesn't pay the tax.
I know. Don't have to pay yet, but
it's coming, man. It's coming.
I know. I'm sure my opinion will change in a couple of years' time. But. So you used to be in a band at all?
I was in a really bad covers band when I was 18. We just did like Oasis and Travis and Stereophonics covers, and it was alright. We did like 4 or 5 gigs back home. We sold out the venue. Like 250 people came and saw us one night. That was one of the best nights of my life. It was good fun.
Was that like kind of your platform in your way into the music?
I was studying, I always liked music. I always enjoyed, like, my dad used to listen to Pink Floyd, things like that. My dad is my influence on music.
What sort of Pink Floyd?
All of it.
Oh, yeah.
All of it. I mean, honestly, a lot of people would Sid Barrett and stuff, but it's kind of after Sid Barrett that I'm more into. Like, Dark Side of the Moon's probably my favourite album ever.
And what's the one that comes after the guy on the front cover with the burning man shaking his hand?
So Wish You Were Here.
Yeah,
Wish You Were Here is great. So I love Pink Floyd. My dad kind of got me into that. I mean, just listen to the car all the time. Because my dad was never really into the Beatles that much. So I don't rate the Beatles. It's never. The best band. I was like, I could put them on, listen to them, but they're not, in my opinion, not the best band ever. I think probably Pink Floyd the best band ever.
I think it's difficult as well to be in the mindset of you've never heard anything like that before.
Yeah.
So when you're listening to Nirvana now, like I've got quite a few pals that are not that big on Nirvana. I think they're fucking sick, but like you have to remember that nothing like that had ever been.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like
they came along.
I went like when I was young, when I was like 16 stuff. There was like really bad rave scene in Scotland. Like it was just, and that's all we listened to was like rave music. There was no bands, like nothing really. I remember going to like with the Belgium with school, and a girl Laura had an album, and it was Travis, the Man Who. No, it wasn't. It was Stereophonics Performance Cocktail. She put that on. That's really cool. Quite like that. Guitars. It's not really what I'm into, but guitars was quite cool. That was after Oasis, because like Oasis, when Oasis came, it was like
post Oasis, yes.
Like I was only 12 in 1994, but like you just remember Oasis when Oasis came out and stuff. It was just like it changed, and then you had Blur, and then you had Pulp, and then you had like everything that came from it. It was
where do you fall? You Blur or Oasis?
See, that's funny because like growing up, Oasis, daft. Like Liam Gallagher's my hero. I used to dress like him and swagging about like him. That was the covers band. I used to pretend.
I saw a photo of you, the 10-year photo, and you're kind of rocking the Liam Gallagher haircut.
That was more the Pete Doherty days back then. But so obviously that and it kind of died down about 98 and got into like going out. So it was like weird dance music. And then this Travis Stereophonics came along, and I liked that album. And Travis quite liked, but it was all kind of getting like that acoustic. And with Starseer, I remember reading about Starseer and Keane. I was like, is this really going to be music? And then boom, I saw a band. Well, they became big before Teen Apart, but the album wasn't out. And I said to my mates, let's go and see this band at Teen Apart. They're going to be amazing. And like, what are they? They're called The Strokes. My mate's like, what is it? Guitars? I'm not going to see The Strokes. And then it was just like 3 years later, I was like, oh yeah, this band The Strokes. Like, yeah, I told you to come and see them at Teen Park.
So did you go and see them at Teen Park?
Yeah, I saw them at Teen Park and Glastonbury Green before the album came out.
What year was that? Like 2000?
2002. No, 2002 it must have been.
Nah, well, almost 2001.
Well, it must be 2000. Well, it was like literally 2 months before the album came out.
Yeah, so yeah.
So it must
have been the summer before the album.
It was
the album dropped like in August or October.
Right, yeah, it would have been. Yeah. I think Teen Apart was like July, and then Gig in the Green was August, and then the album came out just like.
How many folk would they have played to?
Oh, it was big because the Enemy was all over them. Enemy was like they're going to be huge.
I remember this actually. I remember like watching interviews with them, and they're speaking about how people were obsessed with them before the album was even out. And like
that happened a lot. Again, that was like the MySpace thing as well. Like the Libertines were huge. Like they used to release all the music on MySpace, and that you could download on forums.
So what actually was MySpace? Because I genuinely
it's like Facebook before. It was like the first proper social media.
Download music for free on it and stuff.
Well, you could upload any band. Like that was the kind of first platform bands had to like reach out to their fans. So like Lily Allen became big on. That's how she got discovered. It was on MySpace. So what's my god, so old. But, so basically you could like if you're in a band, you could upload your music. and people could listen to it, and you could put it like basically like SoundCloud. You could have it, you could download it, or you could leave it so you could stream it. But like so many people, you could like things, but you could take a song, and it was always the cool thing to do. Is like you had to, when somebody opened your MySpace page, a song would automatically play. So it was like you had to be fun, you had to be cool to get like your song had to be cool. Like those of people had like, and I'm like, nah, I'm not having. So I'd have like Strokes and Lily Allen, and that was the band I mentioned, the Steeples. I remember my friend Laura Ashwell said, "Listen to this. I've sent you a link."
So people like go on your profile and could see what you're listening to.
Yeah, it's basically like Facebook, but it was like
but music
picture. No, not just it was exact. Yeah, it was basically a social media platform, but music kind of took it over because it was this thing where you could get music, you could find these artists, you could search for bands and stuff. So
it
became
almost what people do now with like putting songs up on their Instagram stories.
Yeah, very much. So you had to be the coolest, like. I've got a cool song, and like, I remember having Sigur Rós for months because I thought they were the best thing ever, and they still are the best thing ever. But my mate's like, "What is that song you've got on your MySpace page?" Like Sigur Rós, it was just like really slow, dirgy piano based. It was lovely. It was amazing. But yeah, so that was MySpace, and then bands could get in touch. It was like when I first went to Leith FM, that's how I contacted bands. It wasn't emails, and I've said before that I prefer emails. Back then, I'd rather MySpace now.
So that's almost like what people do now. They go like through an Instagram page.
Yeah. Whereas now I think I'd much prefer emails. MySpace was the way to do it, and there was like a chat bot that wasn't that. The MSN tied into it, so you had MSN chat and stuff all linked into it. It was amazing.
Well, the Enemy, did they still have quite a big influence at that point?
Oh yeah, Enemy was huge. Enemy, like, it was still Melody Maker, and I was like 16 as well. Melody Maker was like.
When did that stop?
Enemy bought it like 96, 97.
I was about to say, because I know roughly what it is, but it felt very 90s.
Yeah.
Because the ones like Blood on the Cover and stuff.
So then that happened, and then I guess like online blogs and that all kicked off, and magazines died. I mean, I
actually didn't that kind of push towards killing the Enemy.
Pretty much.
I guess kind of like the rise of something like Pitchfork as well, probably.
Yeah, the thing with Enemy always annoyed me because they would be mad on a band. Like the Darkness, they like hyped the Darkness up so much, and then the Darkness became huge and this sort of joke. The Enemy then just trashed them. It's like, well,
is that I Believe in a Thing Called Love? Yeah.
I remember they replaced David Bowie at Tina Park, and it's like, oh, man.
What do you mean replaced?
Well, David Bowie was supposed to play, but he got ill.
He
hurt his eye. A lollipop stick got stuck in his eye, so they cancelled Tina Park, and they just moved everybody up slightly. So it ended up the Darkness were playing with David Bowie. It was like, this isn't right, man. I mean, the Darkness, whatever they're hating, I saw the Darkness. I actually bought tickets to go see Darkness at the Corn Exchange because it was Christmas time. They had that Christmas song out, and I went with a few of my pals, and it was a wonderful live show. Like, they had snow machines going off, and he was crowd surfing his guitars, and it was just like, you know what, it's fun.
Are they still a band or what's?
I think they're doing something. I saw like an advert on Facebook that they're doing something, but I wouldn't pay to see them now. No. Definitely not. It was a joke. It was a fun thing. It was one album. It's all it was ever going to be. I remember he started a band called Hot Leg. Hot Leg. Once
that's not a good name
Darkness split up, he was Hot Leg, and they played. It was a festival called the Camden Crawl, and I was down at it, and it was a tiny little venue called Underworld, and it was basically you could get on stage. So he invited everyone on stage. So I got on stage, gave him a big kiss, and got off stage. Then like a week later, it was on YouTube. Me giving Justin Hawkins a kiss. I was like, yes, I've made it. So I had like that again. Pete Doherty days. I had like a military jacket on, a trilby hat, eyeliner, a lot. I was like in pure Pete Doherty. Pete Doherty or Boy George. It was always like one of the other.
We still got a military jacket.
I do have still a military jacket. I'll show you. It was like it's only 50 of them made. It's like vintage. It's class.
Casablancas used to kind of rock one of them as well.
Yeah, it is more Casablancas than Libertines. It's blue denim rather than the red military style one. So
that's the way to go. So when did Enemy start to decline? What kind of years was that it?
I lived
mid to Enemy were still big when Libertines were kicking about, so it must have been
around. I was still
going
about 2007. When I worked in Leeds, I still bought it every single week. I still bought it in Liverpool, so that was like 2009. So it's still kind of going. It's still going now, but it's free.
No, the magazine's done.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Because I used to get the free magazine. Nah, it stopped like 3-4 years ago.
I mean, I kind of get it as well because the environment stuff as well. Why would you print paper now when you can get everything online? There is still something like the whole.
I guess because as well there is the fear that it could be like a massive, data loss or something, and then suddenly
true.
It's all gone.
Yeah,
I feel like paper's a safer thing almost.
I like having a magazine. I can't read like Enemy on people can read. I've got like a tablet, not an iPad, but like a Samsung version. And I find it hard reading, and even I got a Kindle to read books, and I even find it hard reading on electric screens. It's kind of like I like having proper books.
Yeah, I guess it's the way like you kind of would have expected Kindles to kill books the same way that like Spotify killed CDs, but it's not really happened. Books are still quite a big thing.
Uh-huh.
But nah, yeah, it's weird to think the way that kind of music changes and all that, but at the same time, it's almost like still the same at the core of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what you're saying with the parallels like between MySpace and Instagram.
Yeah, it's all like, yeah. What's the good thing about music these days is that I always say this when I'm on with Janice on BBC, is when we first started Leaf FM, all we got was basically 4 guys playing guitars, playing like Oasis-esque songs, and it was just boring. It was like, this is like, I mean, you didn't think it was boring then because all there was, but see now, like, the amount of music that people can make just in the bedrooms and they send it to you, it's like, this is like, could be properly produced by a producer. It's great.
There's some good stuff on Spotify, like kind of lo-fi things that are...
Well, that's like, you listen to like, if you listen to that, if I could ever find that first radio show, and you listen to that, and then the last one Ian and I did together, the difference in music, we still play guitar bands, but there's also like electronic, there's pop, there's like all the stuff that you didn't get, like there was no way there was ever going to be like a pop band from Scotland. Like Cola, we've talked about, that wouldn't have existed 15 years ago. It just wouldn't have worked.
The variety of
it would have
genres
been,
and bands
been,
from Scotland.
Cola would have been herself, acoustic guitar, singer-songwriter. That's what she would have been. That's how it was, but now she can do all this production stuff, based on GarageBand, things like that. It's great. The amount of music you get and the amount of variations of music.
Van Ives, are they not someone else that kind of started in the bedroom?
Yeah, still do. Van Ives are incredible. They are like my favourite Scottish band at the minute. Absolutely, including Indigo Velvet. Absolutely. And they know this, it's fine. I love Van Ives. They're doing so well, and they played Widedays last year. They were one of the bands I wanted them to play so much.
They did Edinburgh Hogmanay,
they did.
Past as well, didn't they?
Yeah. I saw them. They played Celtic Connections last January, about this time last year.
That's just coming up again now. Yeah,
it just blew me away. Like the stage show, they did it. It was just great, and there was like a piano at the side of this. Like it was a sellout gig, and there was a piano sitting. I was like, that's right in the way. Why would they not move that piano? And then Stuart came out and played the piano part of it, just like unplugged. And Stuart didn't. It was he was on top of the piano singing, and then these confetti cannons went off. And I'm like, this is like watching like old school Coldplay. Yeah. It's like that's what it's like.
They do have that kind of vibe about them.
Yeah, good band. Like I just think they're great.
Just production
seen them
as well.
Loads last. Probably the band I saw the most last year was Van Ives.
Crazy.
Maybe 5 or 6 times.
I've not seen them live yet because I'm interested to see how it translates with how well it produced it is and how much that kind of is a part of it.
I think it's probably even better when on these bands that are actually probably better live than the recorded stuff's amazing, but just to see, and Stuart's like such a happy front man. He's like, he just looks happy all the time. It's like, he's great.
Refreshing to see.
Yeah. I mean, my friends also said that they could come out, his actual quote was, he could come out just wearing nipple tassels and you think he was absolutely amazing. Like, yeah, I would. And they won the Sama, and we were standing beside them when I got announced. And
was that this year?
Yeah, my pal's got an Instagram, she took an Instagram video, and I genuinely think I'm more excited than they were about winning it. I was like, yeah, totally buzzing. It's like, just good. It's good. I love it when, like, again, that's through Widedays, it's developing relationships with artists, and you become friends with them. Declan's a pal now. Morgan Woods, all these people, Van Tees, good pals.
Declan Welsh, yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, good, great. That's my favourite album last year. Declan's
favourite Scottish album or favourite album?
Favourite album, a whole lot. I think it's absolutely incredible.
Do very much like it. Don't know what's my favourite album last year.
That's all subjective, man. I'm not right. You're not right. No one's right. That's the best thing in music. No one's ever right.
I do remember seeing him live at Tuts last few weeks back, the Christmas thing, and that was very good.
Yeah, I think he was the best in the night, in my opinion. Again,
I can neither agree nor disagree.
Exactly. I'm quite biased towards. I've worked with Ninth Wave and Lucia in the past. I really like Spires, who were first on. That's the first time I've seen them live. They were. Yeah, good. I'm interested to see what they're doing this year.
Yeah, hopefully get another single out soon. Yeah. It'd be interesting to hear. Because I wonder if at the start was done really well.
Yeah, it came on random. I was at the gym today and I've got this playlist that when I hear a song randomly, I'll stick it in this playlist so I can listen to it again. And I was like, I recognise that song. And it was Spires, so I must have put it in ages ago without even realising it was them.
Yeah, it's a guitar riff at the start of it.
Yeah. It's quite like, again, it's quite like the Van Tees, I think.
Yeah, definitely, especially with the kind of the vocal thing they do as well. It's a bit... Van Tees are very much a trailblazer as well. Like when you look at...
Van Tees, I was saying about Stuart being one of the nicest guys in music. Stephen Milne, sorry.
Yeah.
Hannah and Chloe, they're just great guys.
Just lovely.
So nice. Yeah, I remember we booked them for Widedays, and that was like 4 years ago, so a lot, obviously 4 years younger, and they were just like young girls. And we booked a band called Scumpulse, who were like mental, crazy death metal screaming. And I meant like the Van Tees played the same venue, and they're like just best pals with Scumpulse. Like there's nothing wrong here, but it's just like that's just how nice they are. They're really good network, and they're good, really good folks.
Yeah, they're kind of a band that've been on the scene a bit longer than
Van Tees.
The other one's kicking a bit.
Yeah.
I think we spoke a wee bit at the start about the fact that it's kind of been a decade, just coming to the end of the decade. Do you feel it's a better place. Do you think the Scottish scene's in a better place now than it was at the start of the decade?
I think so. I think the music coming out, we see like, well, obviously Widedays also 10 years. So like you think of like the bands, no disrespect the bands who played the first Widedays, but it was slim pickings who we could choose from. You know, now like the applications are closed. I think we've got like 180 applications this year. So it's like,
what
is that? And it's not like everyone deserves a listen because it's like it is good music. So, and even like looking back, I was going to do a thing last year of a gig of the year. And I thought, right, that was maybe gig of the year. No, that was. It's like they're all gigs of the year. They're all great. Yeah. So I think the Scottish music scene is really good just now, and it all seems to be getting better. It's like, I mean, we were talking off mic about, you were saying about Voodoos and the Dunts, and that's bands I'm not really into. I don't know enough about them to into them, but people love them. The Snuts, another one. Snuts are a band that I couldn't name you one Snuts song, but they're huge, and that's what's great. Like people have got, there's like a different scene. Like people mean attached to scenes, which is great. So it does. Kind of reminds me back in Libertines and stuff. It's like
it feels like bands are on the rise again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like bands have kind of gone away from it, and it's been more solo artist oriented, maybe kind of.
I mean, more like there's more. Whereas like maybe like 7 years ago, if something came out of Scotland, it was like everybody loved it because this is Scottish, and we have to love it because it's Scottish, whether it's like your scene or not. But there's, as I say, the Snuts are the perfect example because it's like I know of them because they're doing great, because I read blogs about them. I've heard them, I have heard them on Spotify and stuff, but it's not really my thing, but they're doing so well, and it's like you can't possibly know everything. I mean, I do my best. I do the new Scottish music playlist every Friday, and I try my best to put everything I possibly can in that's come out. And
must be tough, haven't it?
It is tough because you can't know everything. It's like then the Skinny put out their favourite songs of last year, and I was like, good 20 songs in that I've never heard of in my life. But you listen, like, that's great. But there's so much. I mean.
It must be, in that sense, it's also tougher for bands though, try to stand out.
Yeah, it is, and it's like it must be so much harder now to like be recognised. Because there's even bands I've worked with last year, and it's like, well, look at Logan's Close for example. I mean, they're a good band, and they're from my hometown, and I forgot their name. And it's like because there's that much going about. That's what it is. I mean, it's a good thing that people can listen to music, but it's maybe not as good for the bands or for the industry as like to try and focus on something. Yeah. I don't think there's. I have this argument with somebody all the time about who was the last big band. Who's the last band that did like 5 albums? And it's the only one I think is the last was Arctic Monkeys.
I think Catfish could have been that band.
Nah, most vanilla band in the world.
Man. I think I know you hate them, but I think
I don't hate them, but it's just boring.
That first album, I thought they could have been that band, but nah,
yeah, that's what I mean. There's a lot of very, very, very good first albums come out, but then it never gets followed up because they've done everything for that first album, and then I don't think they get time now. I think the time of like having like 2 years in to record a follow up.
There could be other bands that could do it though. Look at a band like Wolf Alice. They feel like a band that could do 5
Yeah,
albums.
they're not bad. I like Wolf Alice, and they kind of changed their sound as well. So they
Foals actually, that's a band.
Foals, yeah.
1975.
Yeah, that's yeah.
But to be honest though, what am I naming them? Like 2-3 bands something.
Yeah, 1975 only done 3 albums. 4th was coming out, so
they'll do 5 though. Hopefully,
you would think so. That's a band I never liked. It's weird. Like I just did not get the fuss about 1975. I thought they were just a boring boy band who just like. Remember my mate at Glastonbury in 2011 or 2013 possibly said, "Do you want to come and see 1975?" I'm like, no, go see some proper music, man. I'm not going to see 1975. And then that album came out 2018, the last one. I remember the tracks. That's quite good. Put the whole thing on. So that's actually amazing. And then got into the back catalogue, and now they were
EPs
my
and stuff
most played artist last year. Like,
I
absolutely love them. I think they're absolutely amazing. I've seen them twice. Saw them twice last year as well. The live show was tremendous.
Saw them at Hydro last year.
Yeah, I was at that one. That was good. And Bellhouston Park.
Very nice. I'm debating going up to Aberdeen.
Right.
Because they've got. I mean, I'll never sell out up there. Like
that venue's huge, isn't it? It's bigger than Hydro.
It's good and it's bad. It's too big for Aberdeen, I think.
Right.
I mean, it's 17,000 when it's standing.
That's madness.
And bearing in mind, what's Hydro, 13,000?
Yeah.
And there's like 2 million people, including Glasgow's surrounding areas. Add on Edinburgh, that's 2.5 million. Aberdeen's 400,000, including surrounding areas.
So you need like 5% of everything in Aberdeen that quit the gig. That's funny. Yeah, it's weird. But you never know. Is it just used for like, is it like a conference hall?
Yeah, it's used for like, it works really well for offshore Europe and stuff like that.
Ah, right,
well.
okay, yeah. So
but, I mean, they did BBC Sports Personality at it this year.
Okay.
So it works well for things like that. But for gigs, good idea. But like, I mean, it's good because it's people who play there. It's never going to sell out. So it's good for getting tickets. But like, think that Catfish gig they did it at was apparently...
Was the Catfish play there?
Catfish played that.
Wow.
I don't know, are Catfish a festival headliner? That's what I can't...
Nah, not what I saw of them anyway.
I don't think...
We my pal quite likes Sam Shannon, who was at the gig at Transmit with last year.
Yeah.
So we mucked about. We went to Skyflyer, which I never thought I'd do. I don't like things like that, but I was on the Skyflyer and we thought, right, Catfish are on. And two songs in, I was like, this is so dull. It just didn't do anything for me, and I thought, I'll have to stay because Shannon loves it. And she's like, are you enjoying this? I'm like, no. She's like, me neither. She actually left and went to a play park and played about in swings and stuff for like an hour. It was the best. It's actually the best part of Transmit. It was great.
Same with Cortinas. I don't think they're a festival headliner.
I've never like Cortinas again. That first album came out, it was pretty good. I saw them in Liquid Rooms, and it was like, yeah, it's decent. This guys from Manchester did it, and then it all of a sudden became. I remember seeing.
When did they hit massive? Like, I feel like it was something that occurred over years.
For some reason I never really took much. At the second album, there was 2 songs second album I liked, and I was like, after that I was like, nah. And then I remember seeing a poster for Cortinas and the backup band with the Charlatans, and I'm like, how's that happened? Like, the Charlatans are huge.
Same with Jerry Cinnamon getting supported by the Coral.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of the Coral, to be fair. Me and my pal Rich, who lives in Canada, we were at college together. There was a band came out called The Music, and then the Coral came out, and he loved the Coral and I loved the music. And we always argued like, the music will be huge.
That's a good name for a band. The Music.
Yeah, they were amazing, and they did 2 albums, but still probably the best live band I've ever seen in my life. They were so good. I went to Leeds to see them, in Blackpool, Edinburgh, Glasgow, everywhere to see them. They were so good.
I love you. Ever listen to Bill Ray Jones?
Yeah,
the Coral's ex-guitarist. Do you like his stuff?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's not the cheeriest music in the world, but
oh no, I mean it's music for a rainy day.
It's music you turn the lights down low and have a bottle of red wine and just enjoy it.
It's music you wallow in.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I like it's good stuff.
I saw him as well. He was supporting. Well, Sam Fender at the O2 Academy in Glasgow. He was playing with a support band because he produces it, which was quite cool.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Brooke Bentham.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was at that. I didn't realise that was.
You don't see him on stage?
No. I wasn't paying much attention, to be honest. But I mean,
she was really good actually.
Yeah, I saw her in Brighton 2 years ago in a wee pub.
He's done her album.
Right. And that makes sense then.
So he's like not one of my heroes, but like someone I admire quite a lot. I remember I was interviewing her and I went backstage not realising he was going to be there.
Cool.
He was there and just like...
Did you freak out?
Nah, I mean I was quite composed, but I was speaking to him for like 10-15 minutes.
Yeah.
He was quite funny. He's a bit... comes across a bit grumpy, but he was funny.
Yeah. That's cool.
You could probably kind of tell that from his music.
yeah, it doesn't sound like he's a bar of laughs, to be honest, but he's good. He's good. Like, I like he puts good messages as well in his music, and he's quite like vocal about mental health awareness and stuff, which I really like. It's good. Sam Fender's good though.
That was a show.
He's just amazing. I think I saw him in Nice and Sleazy's like way back, Tenement Trail 2 years ago.
Remember, like Rory said on his podcast as well, that he put Sam forward for a lab.
Oh, really?
Like years back, saying this kid's gonna be massive, and never picked him up.
Yeah, it's weird that like we were saying off mic. I'll say it on mic. Like Lewis Capaldi, like applied for Widedays, but at the time it just wasn't ready for Widedays. And you like
that's the thing. These artists go through a lot of development.
Yeah, and people like we joke about it quite a bit, and it's like, but he wasn't. There's no way he would have got Widedays because he wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
Like there's like a fine window of like a band being ready. I think
you can also leave it too long.
Yeah, totally.
Like, miss that window, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, that's Sam Fender, Nice and Sleazy, and just thinking, who's this guy? Why have I never heard of him?
What a voice, though.
Because I was repping, I was doing the gig, like working.
Oh, so you weren't you didn't go to the gig, you were just.
I was working it, yeah, and they came in and said, "Jordy guys, I'm Sam's. Nice to meet you, man. It's backstage here, just area and stuff." And I remember thinking it was funny because it's Sam Fender, it's a Fender guitar. I was like, that's quite a cool name and stuff. And then he came on stage, it was just him and the guitar back then. He started singing. I'm like, wow, this boy can sing. And then I kind of followed him after that. And I remember he played the Mash House, and I was just like, this guy is incredible. And then I've seen him loads since Summit with Shepherd's Bush to see him in London.
And he's just kept growing, being a steady incredible.
He's huge, and it's evidently so.
I said this on the podcast already, but I'm looking forward to a few albums' time. Like, I feel like if first album's good,
he could be the one that brings out 5 or 6 albums.
He could actually. Yeah. Although he's a solo artist, he's a band basically. He's got that kind of band.
I mean, you think what I like about him as well, he brought the album out, but it wasn't just. He's still got so many songs in his back catalogue that aren't on the album. Like one of my favourite songs he does is Pound Shop Kardashians. It's not on the album. It's just such a funny song. It's exactly what I hate about going out a night out, like on a Saturday night. It's like just the people. It's like get me back to Sneakies, please. That's where I want to hang out. I want to be in Sneakies. I don't want to be in George Street. I don't want to be wearing fancy shoes. I want to be in Sneakies.
Go in the Priory.
Sweatbox, yeah, the Priory, yeah. Let's not talk about the Priory. It's a messy time last time I was in there.
The mentioned Enemy earlier. This is something I kind of meant to follow up on it, but I forgot to ask then. You used to write for Time Out, did you? Have you written for them?
I wrote for Time Out, yeah. It was only about a year. It actually came about. They were starting a Scottish thing. They wanted to do more Scottish stuff, so they googled Scottish music blogs, and I popped up. So I met the editor, and she was like, "This is what I want you to do. You up for it?" So yeah, and it was quite cool. They kind of didn't really pitch stuff on you. You just gave me ideas, and it was like, I want to do this. We did thing around Widedays. We did like the 5 bands you go and see Electric Fields. We did the Halloween thing, 5 Scottish bands. We played like Spook School, things like that. So 5 Halloween based Scottish bands. So it was cool. It was a cool thing to be involved in. I forgot about that. Well researched.
What year was? When was that?
2013, 14.
Oh, so this was back kind of. This is when you did editors, kind of back in that kind of.
Maybe not as long ago as that then.
So waiting into 2013, 7 years ago, to be honest.
It must be 14, 15 or something like that. Because I was back in Edinburgh then. Yeah.
And Electric Field, last year was kind of the year that Electric Fields got.
Yeah, it's a shame. Yeah. Like amazing festival. It was one of my 2 years ago when Fighting Rabbit played. It genuinely is my top 3 festivals of all time.
Yeah,
it was so good. That, Glastonbury, and Festival. It was just brilliant. It was just like everything. The weather was great. The bands were great. Fighting Rabbit were playing. All my pals were there. It was great fun. It was just good fun. It's a shame that again. It's a shame. I
feel like this podcast we've spoken about a lot of things that have kind of started up.
Yeah, that's what happens when you speak to people in Edinburgh about music. It's all dying. It's all doom and gloom. But
what's your secret to still being going for so long then?
It's Alive and Amplified has always been a hobby kind of thing. The blog's always a hobby, and this last year it's gone away from that. It's become more work, and I think when it becomes work, it's like it stresses me out more. I used to work in marketing for a science company, so it was kind of my release was like finish work, get home, write a blog, listen to some tunes, do that, do radio. It was released, but now it's kind of. I love working for Widedays, love doing the BBC stuff, I love managing the band, but sometimes when I'm sitting like on a Monday and thinking, what do I need to do? Like, all right, I'll do track of the week. Thinking, this isn't work, Craig. This is like your hobby. Like, stop procrastinating.
Train it.
What you're like. You're supposed to be doing work that pays you. So that's like Widedays. That's the band. But it's easy to do a track of the week, and I enjoy it. So it's like I'm working. I'm doing a track of the week, but it's like nah, it's not. And I've kind of towards the end of the last year, I was like, I need to like do work. So now I think that's like. Being self-employed and working for yourself, it's quite hard sometimes to like focus on stuff. So what I do now is like before I go to bed the night before, I write down a list of things that I want to do. So I need to do this for that, that for that, that for that, that for that, and then I'll say then I can do track of the week. I can do a Live and Amplified podcast, or I can do a playlist or something like that. I can write something. So it's like a little reward. I get to do the thing I really enjoy.
Was it something that's always taken over in your mind though a bit? Is it do you find it's always at the back of your mind thinking about it a bit?
Live and Amplified?
Yeah,
because I love it. Like I do, and it's like kind of, it's my CV, I guess. It's kind of what got me working for Widedays. It's because I did this blog, got me the Time Out thing, doing the podcast got me on the BBC. So it's like if I stop that, then work will stop. So it has to keep going, but it can't be a priority. I need to make sure.
Kind of go to the back burner a wee bit, but it's still.
Yeah, but it's my thing. I need to focus myself a bit better. I need to, like today, for example, I thought, right, you're coming around tonight, so I like going to the gym. So I was like, right. So this morning I got up at like 7:30. I thought, you know what, I'm going to go to the gym now, get that out of the way.
Yeah.
And I did that. It's good. And I came back to loads of work when I got back. So I've done my work now. So I might go do a track of the week once you're away. So
yeah,
it's kind of like I've done stuff. So tomorrow I've got a meeting in the morning, and then I'm doing some Wide Day stuff, and then tomorrow night I might do I need to do this Declan podcast. I'd recorded Declan with before Christmas, but I've been ill with a cold, so it's still a little bit. You can probably still hear it, but yeah.
So we got much else planned for it coming up in 2020? Coming over in 2020 now.
I know 2020 sounds better though. It's like 2019. It
sounds like a proper decade.
It's the 20s. We're in the 20s. No, that's like noughties. Never like the noughties. What was the last decade? Was it the teens? I've
heard someone say tenties before.
The tenties.
It just sounds awful.
They sound like a really bad band.
Sounds like a children's TV show.
Yeah, with a band in it. Hi, with the tenties. So Widedays will be kicking off really soon. The Great Escape will be soon, which I love. And then just Indigo Velvet stuff, and then taking away bits and pieces all over the place. So, and then festival season, which is always fun. Don't know what festivals. That's the thing with Electric Fields. That was always a staple. Definitely got Electric Fields, but
I guess there's
Transmit the lineup. I mean,
So wait, say something I shouldn't actually do on the podcast. Just last.
no, you don't say I can't. Lineup's not great. I mean,
No, that wasn't what I was going to say. But
okay, I think it will get better. The King Tut stage will get announced.
I was saying that to you earlier. Actually, the King Tut stage is always good,
and that's what it's all about for me. I enjoyed.
Although we're saying the lineup's not great, they are appealing to a market.
Absolutely, but
I mean, if you look at the
Tina Park finished because of that, because the market was people who don't really go to music properly. They go to get absolutely wasted, cause trouble. And Tina Park was amazing. I went from Tina Park from 1998 to 2009 every year and loved it. Absolutely loved it up until about 2006, and it was like, this is getting a bit dodgy. There's people getting stabbed and stuff, and that's nobody's fault. That's not the booker's fault. I'm not saying that. I work with DF and stuff, but I think when the first year of Transmit, it had Radiohead. I was like, cool,
Kasabian,
get Radiohead. This is like
1975.
Yeah, I didn't like them then. I don't like Kasabian.
Was there like good bands that year though? Was it not?
I can't remember.
Interesting.
Well, Lewis Capaldi played like the tiny stage.
Did he?
He was headlining, yeah. But then so it's like, yeah, cool. They're actually doing this really cool festival. Radiohead are playing, so that's the first time I seen Radiohead. I loved it, and then it just went back to kind of like Liam Gallagher, which is fine, as you say. That they're a constant or they need to sell tickets, so I totally understand why they're doing it. But I just wish there was a market.
That's also the beauty of Tina Park. If you could have that and you could have the other stuff.
Yeah,
because it was a bigger festival.
I don't know if it'd do if they both could coexist. To be honest.
No. But I mean, like at the festival when you had that many stages.
Yeah,
you could have LCD sound system and you could have like.
Yeah, but I think towards the end of Tina Park, people were getting put off by the crowd rather than the lineup. I think the lineup was good. They had LCD the last year, but I don't know.
Why did that stop? And what was the actual reason for that?
It stopped. They moved from Bellado because of the oil pipe, because they had to move, and then it went to that. And the first year just didn't work. They took a year off and it just never came back. It's a shame because Tina Park was great and I loved it. I mean, that's my youth. It went when I was 17. First gig I ever went to was Tina Park.
It'll come back though. I think.
Nah, they've said it's not. They announced it's not. Transmit's a new thing.
Yeah, but
something might come back. Some of them might start it like as a different name and smaller again.
Better come back before I finish growing up because don't really want Transmit to be my festival.
No, get to Glastonbury, man. Then you'll never worry about festival again because it's the best thing in the world. It is so good.
How many times have you been into it?
3.
Yeah. Do you apply for this year as well or no?
I stopped in 2013 was the last year.
What ones did you go down for?
I went 11, 13 and 14 because there wasn't one in 12. Went to Bessel that year instead because Olympics were on.
I can't believe you managed to get tickets 3 years in a row though.
It's quite tough, it's not as difficult as if you get a plan. We've got like 12 of us in a group. So you just make sure everyone's up and everyone's at the computers, and whoever gets through first, we've got a joint bank account. Well, not got a joint bank account, but we've got one person's bank account. We just put all the money in. So whoever gets through just pretends they're that person and then books a ticket. So it's actually not as bad.
But it's different now, isn't it? You don't have to submit now and get put into a pool and everything.
Yeah, I still had that. We still have to register.
But did all 12 of you get to like the registering stage and?
You just register. You register. You can register now if you want. Like anybody can register, but so you can't resell your ticket.
Okay.
So your tickets, like your faces on your ticket. So you can't resell it, which is fair. But that's great. Glastonbury's amazing. It's like the bit you see on TV isn't Glastonbury.
Doesn't compare.
It's not Glastonbury.
So like 2 miles. Well, not 2 miles.
8 miles round. Like if you walked from one end right round, it's 8 miles all the way around. It's huge.
I remember speaking to APRA and they were saying it took them like 2 hours to like walk. Like
that's my favourite. My favourite day at Glastonbury was the first day I went. My pal Lee, he had been loads, and he was like the first day. Oh, Craig, like get your tent up. We'll go for a walk. I'm like, there's nothing to see. He goes, oh, there is. And you go through like there's a place called the Park Stage. It's quite famous now, but there's a bit at the top called the rabbit hole. And I walked up and this guy in the door's like, you got the password, mate. I'm like, what do you mean the password? He goes, you need a password to get in here. I'm like, where are we? What's the other bit of password? So you had to go on Twitter and you had to solve a riddle. And you got the password, you got in, and you went like down these stairs, and it's like the Mad Hatter's Tea Party downstairs. Like it's just bonkers. And I was like, this is totally amazing. And you go to like the late night bit at Glastonbury, like Shangri-La and like NYC. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. There's people like jug on fire, and it's like flames going off, and it's just amazing. And you don't see that on TV.
No. Did you sleep at all for the 3 days?
Yeah, I do make an effort to because it is 5 days of hard going. So it's like you need to, and that's a great thing about. I remember Tina Park. You said I'm going for a sleep, but your mates still slag you off, but. Glastonbury's like, yeah, go and get some sleep and like it's just like you need that. So, but it's amazing. I need to go back.
Yeah.
But get to that. Never mind Tina Park.
This year would have been a good year to go actually. Paul McCartney's.
We talked off.
Oh, you're not a fan of the Beatles.
Not a fan of the Beatles. Was that off air? Was that on air? Yeah, it was on air. Not a fan of the Beatles.
I've got one question. I have to round it up.
Go for it.
Sum up 2010 to 2019 in a song.
And a song.
Or song, song. I was going to say album, but
for me or for like,
for you, that decade for you. What's the song that's synonymous with it?
Oh, it's weird.
And why?
I'm not going to say why. No danger. I don't know. It's probably David Bowie because he died, and
that's when everything fell apart.
Yeah, went to shit.
He died, and then
Dave
Brexit
died.
and Trump.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's always been my theory.
Do you know what? I'm going to I will say, Frightened Rabbit, because Scott Hutchison was an absolute diamond of a bloke, and so even though the Midnight Organ Fight wasn't this decade, it will never get old, that album.
Yeah, it's timeless.
So, I'm trying to think, what would the song be? Poke, maybe? Fast Blood's my favourite Frightened Rabbit song, so I'll say that one. Not this decade, but kind of...
It doesn't have to be from this decade, though.
Yeah, but I think Scott, what happened and stuff, I think what's happened since, I mean, we're going to go into this a little bit, try to wrap up, but the amount of people who are now more aware of people's mental health and stuff is so good, and from a tragic thing happening, I think good stuff.
Everything's come off the back of
the Tiny Changes charity. I did a run for them last year. I want to do more work for them. If people got a chance to do anything, check out Tiny Changes, and yeah, so Scott's memory, his music will never die, and his memory will never die, because he's an absolute legend, and a lovely bloke to hang out with as well. So cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
No worries. Thanks for coming, Alex, and thanks for there's some biscuits left. I've got some biscuits.
I've not even finished the first biscuit I started with.
And Indigo Velvet complained never got biscuits, but you got biscuits because you deserve this.
Get a special treatment. Well, thank you very much for coming on. And
no worries, Alex.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.